Hollywood was not always the center of movies. In the early 1900s, filmmaking started on the East Coast. New York and New Jersey were busy places for new movie makers. But Thomas Edison controlled many patents for movie technology. He had a company called the Motion Picture Patents Company. Some people called it the Edison Trust. This trust made it hard for independent filmmakers to work. They had to pay fees. They had to follow strict rules set by Edison. Many filmmakers felt limited and wanted more freedom. They started looking for a new place to make their movies far away. These filmmakers found a perfect new home in California. Southern California offered many great advantages. The weather was a very big plus. There was sunshine almost all year round. This meant they could film outdoors much more often. The old cameras needed a lot of light to make good pictures. California also had diverse landscapes. It had mountains, deserts, and the ocean all nearby. This was like having many movie sets for free. Filmmakers could make westerns, dramas, or comedies easily. Land was also cheaper there than in the crowded East Coast cities. A small town called Hollywood became their destination. It was near Los Angeles. In 1911, the Nestor Film Company set up the first permanent movie studio there. Soon other filmmakers followed them. They came from New York, Chicago, and other places. They wanted to escape Edison's control. They also wanted the good weather and varied scenery. The name Hollywood quickly became famous. It started to represent this new and exciting movie industry. This was the beginning of Hollywood as a major center for making films. The early days were full of energy and experimentation. People like D.W. Griffith began to explore storytelling. They made longer films with more complex plots. Mack Sennett made funny comedies with his Keystone Cops. These pioneers built the foundations of the film industry. They created a place where dreams could be made on film. Hollywood grew very fast. It attracted actors, writers, and technicians. They all wanted to be part of this new art form. This new town was quickly becoming a global symbol for movies. As Hollywood grew, big movie companies started to form. These became known as the major studios. Companies like Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer, MGM, were very powerful. Paramount Pictures and Warner Brothers were also huge. 20th Century Fox and RKO Pictures completed the Big Five. These studios did not just make movies, they controlled everything about them. They owned the cameras and the sound stages. They even owned the movie theaters where films were shown. This total control was called the studio system. It defined Hollywood for many decades. The studios had a very organized way of making movies. They operated like large factories. Each studio had its own distinct style and types of films. For example, MGM was known for its glamorous stars and big musicals. Warner Brothers often made gangster films and social dramas. The studios produced hundreds of movies every single year. They had departments for writing, costumes, and set design. Everything was done in-house by employees of the studio. This system was efficient. It allowed for a constant supply of movies to audiences who loved them. Actors, directors, and writers worked under strict contracts. These contracts often lasted for 7 years. The studios decided which movies their stars would appear in. They controlled the public image of their actors. Stars had little say in their roles or their careers. If they refused a part, they could be suspended without pay. This system created many famous movie stars, but it also meant that the studios had immense power over people's lives. The studio heads, like Louis B. Mayer at MGM, were like kings. They made all the important decisions. This system had both good and bad sides. It produced a steady stream of entertainment. It created many classic films that are still loved today. The quality of production was often very high. The studios had the resources to make beautiful and impressive movies. However, it also limited artistic freedom for many creative people. Filmmakers had to follow the studio's rules and formulas. The main goal was to make money for the studio. This sometimes meant that stories were less daring or original, but the system worked for a long time. The period from the late 1920s to the late 1940s is often called Hollywood's Golden Age. This was a time when the studio system was at its strongest. Movies became a very popular form of entertainment. People went to the cinema regularly, sometimes several times a week. They went to escape their daily lives. They wanted to see glamour and adventure on the big screen. Hollywood provided this escape better than anyone else. The movies from this era had a special magic. They created a dream world for millions. During the Golden Age, Hollywood created many unforgettable stars. Actors like Clark Gable became symbols of manliness. Greta Garbo was known for her mysterious beauty. Humphrey Bogart played tough guys with soft hearts. Katharine Hepburn was a strong and independent woman on screen. These stars were more than just actors. They were icons. The studios carefully built their images. Fans eagerly followed their lives, both on and off the screen. Their names on a movie poster could guarantee a big audience. They were the royalty of Hollywood. The movies themselves were grand and diverse. There were spectacular musicals with amazing dance numbers. Think of films by Busby Berkeley or with Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. There were also sweeping historical epics. These films had thousands of extras and enormous sets. Gone with the Wind is a famous example of this. Film noir, with its dark stories and shadowy visuals, also became popular. Comedies made people laugh, dramas made them cry. Westerns thrilled them with action. The variety was stunning. The glamour of Hollywood was a key part of its appeal. Studios spent fortunes on costumes and sets. They made sure their stars always looked perfect. Movie premieres were big events. They had red carpets and flashing cameras. Magazines were filled with pictures of stars at parties or in their beautiful homes. This created an image of Hollywood as a magical place. It was a place of beauty, wealth, and excitement. This image helped sell movies around the world. It also made Hollywood a powerful cultural force. One of the biggest changes in Hollywood history was the arrival of sound. Before the late 1920s, movies were silent. They had music played live in the theater. They also used title cards to show dialogue. But in 1927, The Jazz Singer was released. It was not the first film with sound, but it was the first feature film to use synchronized dialogue in a big way. It was a huge hit. Suddenly, every studio wanted to make talkies. This change happened very quickly. It transformed how movies were made and experienced. The transition to sound was not easy for everyone. Some silent film stars had voices that did not match their screen image. Their careers ended. Other actors found new success in talkies. New equipment was needed in studios and theaters. Microphones were big and hard to hide. Cameras were noisy and had to be put in soundproof boxes. This made filmmaking more complicated for a while. But sound also opened up new possibilities for storytelling. Musicals became very popular. Dialogue became a crucial part of the movies. It made films feel more realistic to audiences. Another major technological step was the use of color. Early films were mostly black and white. Some films had scenes that were hand-tinted, or they used a process called two-strip Technicolor. This process had limited colors. But in the 1930s, three-strip Technicolor was developed. This created rich, vibrant colors on screen. The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind, both from 1939, showed how beautiful color films could be. Color made movies more spectacular and lifelike. It added another layer of magic to the Hollywood dream. As television became popular in the 1950s, Hollywood needed new ways to attract audiences. One answer was widescreen formats. CinemaScope, VistaVision, and Cinerama made the movie screen much wider. This created a more immersive experience. It was something television could not offer at that time. Sound technology also improved. Stereophonic sound made movies more exciting. These innovations helped Hollywood compete. They ensured that going to the movies remained a special event. Technology always played a big part in Hollywood's evolution and appeal. Section 5. Shapers of celluloid, key directors, actors, and producers. Hollywood's history is filled with talented individuals. These people shaped the art of filmmaking. Certain directors became known for their unique styles. Alfred Hitchcock was the master of suspense. His films like Psycho and Vertigo thrilled audiences. John Ford was famous for his westerns, such as Stagecoach and The Searchers. He often filmed in Monument Valley. Frank Capra made heartwarming films like It's a Wonderful Life. Orson Welles' Citizen Kane is often called one of the greatest films ever made. These directors had strong visions. Many actors also left a lasting mark on Hollywood. Marlon Brando changed acting with his realistic style. He starred in A Streetcar Named Desire and On the Waterfront. Marilyn Monroe became a global icon of beauty and glamour. Her comedic timing was excellent in films like Some Like It Hot. James Dean, despite a short career, represented youthful rebellion. His films Rebel Without a Cause and East of Eden resonated deeply. These actors brought complex characters to life. They connected with audiences in powerful ways. Their performances are still studied and admired today. Producers also played a crucial role in making movies. David O. Selznick was an independent producer. He was responsible for Gone with the Wind. He oversaw every detail of its production. Darryl F. Zanuck was a powerful figure at 20th Century Fox. He guided the studio for many years. Irving Thalberg at MGM was known as the Boy Wonder. He had a great talent for developing successful films. These producers often had the final say on a movie. They balanced artistic goals with business needs. They helped create the films that defined Hollywood. These influential figures did not always agree with the studio system. Some directors fought for more creative control. Some actors challenged their restrictive contracts. Their struggles sometimes led to changes in how Hollywood worked. For example, Olivia de Havilland successfully sued Warner Brothers. Her case helped weaken the long-term contract system. These mavericks and masters pushed boundaries. They contributed to the richness and complexity of Hollywood's story. Their work continues to inspire filmmakers and entertain audiences around the globe. They are the legends of the silver screen. Section 6. A new wave Hollywood changes in the 1960s and 1970s. The late 1950s and 1960s brought big changes to Hollywood. The old studio system started to weaken. A Supreme Court ruling in 1948 forced studios to sell their movie theaters. This broke their control over exhibition. Television became a major competitor for audiences. People were staying home more. The old formulas for movies were not always working anymore. Hollywood needed new ideas and new voices. This period saw a difficult transition for the industry. It had to adapt to a changing world. A new generation of filmmakers emerged. They were often inspired by European cinema. Directors like Arthur Penn, Mike Nichols, and Stanley Kubrick gained prominence. They wanted to make films that were more personal and daring. These directors, often called auteurs, had more creative control than in the old studio days. They explored themes that were previously considered too controversial. Their films reflected the social and political changes happening in America. This era became known as the New Hollywood or the American New Wave. It was a time of great artistic energy. Films like Bonnie and Clyde from 1967 and The Graduate from the same year were groundbreaking. Bonnie and Clyde showed violence in a new, more graphic way. It also had sympathetic anti-heroes. The Graduate captured the feeling of alienation among young people. Easy Rider in 1969 became a symbol of the counterculture. These movies connected with younger audiences. They showed that films could be about more than just escapism. They could be about real issues and complex characters. Storytelling became more adventurous. This era also saw the rise of independent producers. They were willing to take risks on unconventional projects. The success of low-budget films like Easy Rider showed that big stars and huge budgets were not always necessary. This opened doors for new talent. The New Hollywood period was a time of great creativity. It produced many classic films that are still admired for their boldness. It changed the way American movies were made. It proved that directors could be the true stars of their films. This was a significant shift. Section 7. Trouble in Paradise, Scandals and Struggles in Tinseltown. Hollywood has always been a place of glamour, but it has also faced many challenges and controversies. One early challenge was censorship. Some people worried about the influence of movies on public morals. To avoid government censorship, Hollywood created its own set of rules. This was called the Hays Code, officially the Motion Picture Production Code. It started in the 1930s. The code set strict guidelines on what could be shown or said in movies. It banned profanity, nudity, and excessive violence. It also said that criminals must always be punished. The Hays Code limited what filmmakers could do. It forced them to be creative in suggesting things rather than showing them directly. While it aimed to present a clean image, many found it restrictive. Another dark period was the Hollywood Blacklist. In the late 1940s and 1950s during the Cold War, there was a fear of communism. The House Un-American Activities Committee, or HUAC, investigated Hollywood. Many writers, directors, and actors were accused of being communists or sympathizers. Those who refused to cooperate were blacklisted. They could not find work in the industry. The blacklist destroyed many careers and lives. Some people had to work under false names. Others left the country. It was a time of fear and suspicion in Hollywood. Personal scandals involving famous stars also created trouble. The private lives of celebrities were often reported in sensational ways. These stories sometimes damaged the image of Hollywood. They showed that the dream factory had a darker side. These incidents reminded the public that stars were human. They faced problems just like anyone else, sometimes even bigger ones due to fame. Financially, Hollywood has also seen its share of struggles. The decline of the studio system was a difficult period. The rise of television forced major changes. Studios had to find new ways to make money. They made fewer movies, but often with bigger budgets. They also started selling old films to television. The business model of Hollywood has constantly evolved. It has faced competition from new forms of entertainment. Yet, through all these challenges, controversies, and changes, Hollywood has managed to survive. It continues to adapt and reinvent itself. Section 8. Hollywood goes global, spreading dreams worldwide. Hollywood movies quickly became popular not just in America, but around the world. From the early days, American films had a wide appeal. They offered exciting stories, glamorous stars, and high production values. After World War I, Hollywood's dominance in international markets grew stronger. European film industries struggled to recover from the war. American films filled the gap. By the 1920s, Hollywood was the world's leading producer and exporter of movies. This global reach has continued for over a century. It is a remarkable achievement. The influence of Hollywood on global culture has been immense. Hollywood movies have spread American fashion, music, and slang to all corners of the globe. People in other countries learned about American lifestyles and values through films. The American dream itself was often portrayed in movies. This idea of success and opportunity resonated with many. Hollywood stars became international celebrities. Their faces were known everywhere. This made American culture very visible and influential. It was a form of soft power for the United States. Other countries have developed their own successful film industries. India's Bollywood, for example, produces more films than Hollywood. France, Italy, Japan, and many other nations have rich cinematic traditions. However, Hollywood often set the trends in popular filmmaking. Many international filmmakers adopted Hollywood storytelling techniques. They use similar genres like action movies or romantic comedies. The blockbuster model, with its big budgets and global marketing campaigns, was perfected by Hollywood. It then became a template for large-scale filmmaking elsewhere. This global influence is not without its critics. Some worry about American cultural imperialism. They feel that the dominance of Hollywood films can overshadow local cultures and languages. It can make it harder for smaller national film industries to thrive. There are ongoing debates about the balance between global entertainment and local storytelling. Despite these concerns, Hollywood's ability to create universally appealing stories is undeniable. Its movies continue to entertain and inspire billions of people worldwide. The magic of Hollywood truly crossed all borders. Section 9. The Silver Screen Today, Hollywood in the Modern World and Its Future. Today, Hollywood is a very different place than it was in its golden age. The era of massive, all-powerful studios controlling everything is long gone. However, a few large media conglomerates still dominate much of the industry. Companies like Disney, Warner Bros. Discovery, and Universal are major players. They produce big-budget blockbuster films. These are often part of large franchises. Superhero movies, science fiction sagas, and animated features are very popular. These films are designed for a global audience. They rely heavily on special effects and spectacle. The rise of streaming services has dramatically changed how people watch movies. Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Apple TV Plus, and others now produce their own films. They also offer vast libraries of older movies and TV shows. This has challenged the traditional movie theater business. More people are watching films at home. The COVID-19 pandemic accelerated this trend. Studios are now experimenting with different release strategies. Some films go straight to streaming. Others have a shorter theatrical run before becoming available online. The future of cinema exhibition is a big question. Hollywood is also facing calls for greater diversity and inclusion. For many years, the industry was criticized for its lack of representation. Women, people of color, and LGBTQ+ individuals were often underrepresented. This was true both in front of and behind the camera. There is now a stronger push for more diverse stories and storytellers. Awards shows and industry groups are promoting these changes. Progress is being made, but many believe there is still a long way to go. The goal is a Hollywood that better reflects the society it entertains. Looking ahead, Hollywood faces new challenges and opportunities. Artificial intelligence, or AI, is a growing concern for writers, actors, and other creatives. They worry about how AI might be used to create scripts or generate performances. The economics of filmmaking continue to evolve. Global markets are more important than ever. Yet, the core business of Hollywood remains storytelling. The technology and the business models may change, but the desire for compelling narratives, memorable characters, and shared experiences will likely endure. Hollywood will need to keep adapting to stay relevant in a fast-changing world.